welcome back to my channel. It's been a little while since I've done a video, so in this video I'm just going to start by giving a quick update of what's been going on in my life, stuff like that, and then we're going to dive into breaking some limiting beliefs down. And there's only 5 plus a bonus questions that you need to ask yourself to kind of dive deep and really look at your limiting belief that you're wanting to get rid of. Side note, I actually won this t-shirt from Sudbury 420. It's a little small, but I'm just super happy to have won something. So they do live videos every Friday. So if you're local to Sudbury, Ontario, and you're able to get out to Sudbury to get your prizes, I highly recommend watching and entering into the giveaways, because sometimes they do a $50 gift card for a dispensary or like t-shirts. They give away blunt wraps. My hubby won a cup and some blunt wraps and some papers actually the first time they did a live. So yeah, it's just been a lot of fun kind of interacting and getting to know some local cannabis activists. So I'm pretty excited to have won, and I'm repping the t-shirt proudly. So what's been going on in my life? Okay, so as many of you may know if you're in my Facebook group, on February 13th, my fiance dropped down at work with a collapsed lung, and he was rushed to the hospital by ambulance. It was pretty scary. And throughout all of that, he went and had stay in the hospital for one night. It was actually on Valentine's Day. I don't know if you saw my stories or anything like that on Instagram. But that's how we spent our Valentine's Day. We actually had a date in the hospital cafeteria, and yeah, he spent the night there with a tube in his lung, and it actually helped. It got the air out of the, chest cavity, and the lung was able to expand back up. But he does have something called blebs or bullae, and I find blebs the most hilarious word ever, and it's kind of just, making it easier to make light of the situation. So it's blebs, B-L-E-B-S, and it sounds like a very kind of made up word, but anyways, it's just describing these little sacs that are on his lungs that could rupture at any time and cause another collapsed lung. So basically, his option is to just wait until he has another collapsed lung, or he can go get surgery to remove that piece of his lung with the blebs on it and then heal from there, and hopefully it won't happen again. And he actually had this happen 2 years ago in 2017 with his other lung. And so we kind of already know what to expect. Last time it was more of an emergency surgery, he had to have it done right away. He was in the hospital for about a week. So this time, at least, we're able to prepare and get ready for it. I'll be able to get a sitter so I can go spend time with him in the hospital, and stuff like that. So that's basically what's been going on in our lives. And during all that time, since the 13th till now, today is March 7th, actually, it's been a couple weeks of absolute chaos because Drew's off work, so he's been home. Both kids have been sick. Royal has had a lot of sick days and snow days, so kind of off and on at school. And Lincoln, I think he has night terrors, because there was a couple nights we called the ambulance, or actually the one night we called the ambulance for Lincoln, because he was inconsolable and just constant crying, and he had woken up like that. And that's very unlike my kid. Usually mom can comfort him. If no one else can, I can. Snuggles with mom usually does the trick, or a snack, but he was inconsolable crying, and we had no idea what was going on. So we called the ambulance, and they were unsure either. So we packed Lincoln up in the car and drove to an hour away to the hospital that night, and by the time we got there, he was sleeping. So we decided not to go in because we had Royal with us too, and just waiting in Emerge with 2 kids is not an easy thing to do. So we decided that he was okay for the moment. If it was to happen again, we'd obviously bring him back. And for a couple days we were okay, but again, he woke up screaming like bloody murder, and I thought he was in pain or there was something wrong. Drew had pneumonia too. So, and the kids were sick, so I wasn't sure if it was related to that. But anyways, when it happened the second time, it was last week, we called my mom, and she came and watched Royal, and we just brought him straight to the Emerge, and we waited in there a couple hours to find out that it's most likely night terrors. So we had to follow up with his nurse practitioner at the clinic, to kind of see what we could do for that. But yeah, apparently children around his age can start night terrors, and they just wake up and they're not actually awake, but it looks like they're awake. Their eyes are open, but they're just inconsolable and crying, and they don't even realize that you're there. So it was actually a very scary experience with him. So things have been insane anyways around here. So we're just kind of shifting and getting into our new normal. Drew's going to be off work for a little while we wait for him to go to surgery, because he's not quite well enough to work, but he's been doing great. And once the surgery happens, then we'll have another period of healing time. So anyways, I just wanted to keep you guys posted. I love recording videos and stuff. I've just had my priorities kind of stuck like with my kids and my husband, and just trying to get everything settled at home. But anyways, I kind of just cleared out my office, and now I have a little bit extra time to come work because my hubby's home. He can watch Lincoln while I was at school, and I can come down to my office and start creating more videos. I really want to do some more interviews and stuff like that. So anyways, all that craziness aside, let's talk about beliefs and these 5 questions and how you can start to break down those limiting beliefs. And I think it's a good time with the new moon, new beginnings. Why not try and do that inner work to help you release anything that's limiting you and holding you back. So first, before I get too involved in it, I want you to just either jot down on a piece of paper or just hold it in your mind any belief that you want to work through during this video, and just hold that belief in your head when I'm talking through and giving examples and stuff like that, and how you can apply it to your own belief. I highly recommend getting a pen and a paper either during this or after this, just to write down anything that may come up for you. Because sometimes when we're working through these questions, things will come out of us from, the unconscious part of us. Something that we're not consciously aware of might come out, and it'll be like a really big realization so that you can begin to move forward. So that's what I hope to help you do today. So basically what I want to talk about is beliefs are our language and the questions that we ask ourselves on a daily basis. And those, the language that we use and the meanings we give to things kind of is what shapes our perception. And those beliefs, the language we use, and the meanings that we give to certain things are what creates our reality, what creates our outside world. So when we can tap into and really look at what beliefs that we have and how they're hindering us, it really helps us to kind of break it down and start heading in the right direction of changing those beliefs. So hopefully by now that you have a belief picked that you want to work through during this video. And yeah, let's dive right in and dig into it. So number 1 is, what are some examples that prove your belief to be true? So let's say we're going to use the example throughout this video, I can't. And you can insert anything at the end of that, or, I'm just doing a very general one. So I can't. Okay, so what proves that you can't, basically? So kind of jot down anything that comes up in there. So what proof do you have that you can't do something? For example, have you failed multiple times when trying to succeed at something that made you believe that you can't? What proves that to you? What makes it true? So you could jot down any examples of anything that's happened in previous experiences that led you to believe that you can't. And yeah, just whatever comes up, just jot that down. Okay, and we're going to move on to number 2. If you need to pause the video to continue writing, go for it. I highly, highly recommend jotting things down. It's how I learn best, and I find it sticks better. So yeah, that's what I recommend you to do as well. So the second question, is this belief true 100% of the time? So the belief that you can't. So do you believe that you can't 100% of the time? Have you succeeded before in that area, or have you seen someone else succeed at what you're trying to do? Because if you can demystify it and make yourself believe that it's not true 100% of the time, then you have that little bit of wiggle room in order that you need to break it down. So is it true 100% of the time? And most often it's not true 100% of the time. Okay, so moving on to number 3. So, does this belief take into account everything negative and positive in your life? So, using the I can't example, and I always do air quotes because you can, you just are choosing not to, basically. But, anyways, that's besides the point. So, does this belief take into account everything in your life, both positive and negative experiences? So, basically, in this scenario, you would kind of dive into, so what can I do? What resources do you have that can help you achieve that so that you can instead of can't? Okay, so yeah, so take into account everything, your entire life, and decide if that belief encompasses the whole, the good and the bad. Most often, it does not encompass any of the good and only the bad. Okay, so number 4. Did you choose to believe that, like whatever belief you're working through, or was it influenced? So think back to your childhood or even just any, like even recent past experiences and think about, like, did someone tell you you can't? Did someone come out and say you can't do this? And then you adopted that belief and made it true within yourself by giving it meaning. Or did you watch someone else try and do what you're trying to do and they failed, so you just automatically assume that you can't? So is that belief coming kind of from outside of you, or did you consciously sit there and decide, like, no, I can't? And most likely, you will notice that it came from an outside source, or it came from a previous experience that influenced you to decide that you can't. Okay? And we're going to go number 5, which is, does this belief work for you or against you? So believing that you can't, is that holding you back or is that serving you? So when you believe you can't do something, so let's say you want to write a book, but you believe that you can't. Is that serving you? Is that getting you closer to writing a book, or is that holding you back? Is it working against you and keeping you in this little box and not allowing you to expand into someone who can write a book? If that makes any sense. So yeah, so does the belief work for or against you? So you get to decide. Okay, and now our bonus question. So how can you prove that the opposite of this belief to be true? So I can would be the opposite of I can't. So is there any evidence in your past experiences or in your life that prove that you can? So you can jot down, so can you find, can you find evidence to support that you can in fact do something? Like I said, write a book. So can you find any evidence that you can write a book? Has anyone come before you and written a book? Of course there has. So that means that you have an equal chance of being able to write a book, right? So you just kind of go through, and whatever you list under here to prove that you can is most likely going to be a really good action step for you to take. So if you know someone else who has written a book, or obviously there are many authors out there, so you know that someone has written a book before. So that is showing you that it is possible for you to write a book too. So it's kind of a choice whether you can or can't. You just have to realize the different resources that you have to get there. And sometimes taking a dive in and asking yourself these questions and being completely honest with yourself will really help you just kind of understand the belief, understand where it came from, and kind of disprove it, right? So if it's not correct 100% of the time, that means that you can change it. If it does not encompass, this belief encompass both negative and positive aspects of your life, and it's only leaning towards the negative, how can you shift it so that it is serving you and contributing to the positive aspects of your life? So that's basically all I have for today, and I just wanted to give you a little rundown on my life and what's been going on and how to work through some of your limiting beliefs. I did another limiting belief video, so if you want to check that out, I'll link it below in the comments or in the description, depending on where you're watching. And also, if you're in my cannabis-infused community, I do have a PDF that goes along with the other video that I am referring to. So if you want to be able to download these different questions and have them for you to work through each and every one of your different limiting beliefs, it'll really help propel you forward and help you break down those beliefs so that you can, live a a more productive, happy life that's serving you rather than keeping you small and holding you back and holding you away from things that you want to accomplish. So anyways, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.